Hello everyone. You're welcome to today's episode of Mathematics Tutorials on Facebook. My name is Eric. This tutorial is brought to you by Mathcare Mathematics Tutorials. All right. Now, what we're going to do in this tutorial is that we are going to look at equations. We are going to discuss equations and see certain mistakes that people do make in equations, which makes their answers wrong. And so, equations are the basics of most of the things that we do in mathematics. So it is essential that we understand these basics, that is equations, so that we'll be using them to solve or to do all the other topics that we have to do or that we need to do in mathematics. So you're welcome. Now I'm going to have some 3 or 4 examples on the board and I'm going to solve it whilst I explain. All right. Now let's have a topic here that is understanding equations. All right. So understanding equations is what we're looking at. Let's look at some examples. So let's write here, solve the following equations. So let me put here A. So in A, let me put here 3x plus 7 is equal to, let's say, 4x plus 10. This is what we have. Then for B, we have 3x or 3 into brackets. Let's put a bracket, 3 into brackets, 2x plus 5 is equal to 6. Then for C, let's have 4 into brackets, not a bracket anymore. Let's put something else. This is going to be, let's have, let's say x over 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. Yeah. Now we have these 3 equations. So normally when I want to solve equations if I want to explain all equations, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to divide them into 3 uh, forms. I'm going to say linear equations, that is without fractions. These equations are simple linear equations without any fraction, without any brackets. Then this is an equation containing a bracket. Then this is an equation containing a fraction. Now, most of the time, an equation involving brackets will tend to be an equation that has got brackets. All right. Most of the time, an equation that has got fractions will turn into an equation that has got brackets. Reason we shall see later on. So let's have a D where let's say we have x out of 2 minus 1. Let's say 2 minus 1 all over 3 is equal to, let's say, 4x of 4 into brackets. Let's not put a bracket. Let's say 4. This is going to be 3 minus 1 all over 4. Let's have this. All right. So we have 4 equations on the board. And we have to solve these equations. So now what we're going to do is that let's put here solution. So we put here solution. Now, basically, we all know at this stage, we know what an equation is. So an equation is a mathematical statement that has got the equal sign. All right. So for instance, if we have 3x plus 7 is equal to 4x plus 10, it means that X is a certain number, so that when you multiply 3 by that number and add 7, the answer that you will have will be equal to 4 times X, which is the same number, plus 10. All right, so the equation has got the left side. From the equal sign to the left is the left side. From the equal sign to the right is the right side. So it has got two sides. And the equal sign is at the middle. It's balancing the equation. So an expression, something is called an equation if it is equated, if it is equal to something, then it's an equation. If 3x plus 7, if I write 3x plus 7, 3x plus 7 is not an equation. But if I say 3x plus 7 is equal to something, then it becomes an equation. Equate is equal to. All right. So if nothing is equal to something, then we don't call it an equation. Then it's an expression. An expression can only be simplified or factorized. All right. An equation can then be what? Solved. So that is it. So that is an equation. So let's look at the solution to A. So what you're going to do is that we are going to rub it when you finish solving. All right. So let's put question A. Question A says that we have 3x plus 7 is equal to 4x plus 10. This is what we have. Now, in solving this equation, we need to obey certain rules. Now, we are going to group like terms in the process. Can you see that we have 3x over here and we have 4x over here? So our aim is that all expressions with x should be at one side of the equal sign. This x could be any letter of the alphabet. It could be 3a, here could be 4a. Here could be 3y, here could be 4y. All right. But we cannot find different letters. We cannot store for different letters in one equation at the same time. All right. So that is it. So what you're going to do is you're going to group like terms. Now we can also see that these 7 here and these 10 are what? Whole numbers. They also need to be at one side of the equal sign so that the equal sign will be between them. All right. So in the process of grouping like terms, signs to certain terms or certain numbers will change, or certain variables will change. For instance, if 4x is here, if we transfer 4x from here to this side to join 3x, remember it's here is 4x is positive. When it crosses the equal sign, its sign must change, must be negative. Same way 7 is here is positive. When it crosses the equal sign to where 10 is, because it's positive and it crosses the equal sign, it's supposed to be what? Negative. That's all. All right. In the same way, addition and subtraction are the opposites of each other. The same way, if a number crosses the equal sign and is dividing, when it crosses the equal sign, it multiplies. The same way, when the number is dividing, when it crosses the equal sign, it multiplies. What am I saying? For instance, let's take our time. If I write 3, or if I write, let's say 12, divided by some number, 12 over some number is equal to 4. All right. I'm looking for x. What is an equation? What is x doing? X is here is dividing. When x crosses the equal sign, it must do what? It must divide. So I will have 12 is equal to 4 is here, x is here is dividing. When it crosses the equal sign, it must multiply. Opposite of division is multiplication. So I will have 4 times x. Instead of 4 times x, I can just write it as 4x. 4x means 4 times x. All right. Now I'm looking for x. Okay. But I'm looking for x. There is 4 attached to the x. So what will I do to remove this 4 here? What is the 4 doing to my x? The 4 is multiplying my x. So let me have my 12 here. When this 4 crosses the equal sign to 12, it's going to do what? It's going to divide because it's multiplying. Opposite of multiplication is division. So do you see? So now I can say my x is equal to 3. Do you understand? So that is how it is. In the same way, if I have my 3 over here and I put my x over here, okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm looking for x. What is dividing my x is 3. 3 will cross the equal sign. When it crosses the equal sign, it will multiply because it's dividing now. So to remove this 3 from here, I'll say x is equal to 4, now multiplying 3. So my x will be equal to 12. That's it. So when you obey these rules, life will be very comfortable for you in terms of solving equations. All right, let's come here also and say that if I have 12 divided by 3 is equal to x, then of course I'm dividing. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 4 is equal to x. That's it. So that is it. Now, let's also not forget that if we are solving equations and we have, let's say, 3x is equal to 5, and we are looking for x. We have said that already. What you're going to do is that we are going to, this 3 is multiplying our x. So to remove it from here, what do we need to do? We need to divide both sides. So we shall say that 3x is equal to 5. Divide here by 3. Divide here by 3. The same coefficient, the coefficient of x. Divide it here and divide it at the other side also. So 3 cancels 3, and you have your x to be equal to 5 out of 3. All right. So remember these basic things. So let's go quickly. Now that we know these things, when we are solving, everybody will understand and follow and know why we are doing certain things. So here, I will have 3x. I need to group like this. So 4x, which is positive, crosses the equal sign. It comes here, it must be negative 4x. We say we are subtracting 4x from both sides. Because if we subtract 4x from here, 4x minus 4x will give us 0. Then whatever we do here, we do the same thing over here. So that's what we do. So we are subtracting 4x from both sides because here is positive. When it crosses the equal sign, it's negative. We write our equal sign. 4 is no longer here. What is left here is 10. All right. Remember, now 4 is coming here. It has come here. 7 must go to where 10 is. But 7, remember, is positive. When it crosses the equal sign, it must be negative. So this is it. So 3x minus 4x. 4 minus 3 is 1. But 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So that is negative x. We don't write negative 1x. We say negative x. All right. If it is 2x or if it is negative 2x, we can write negative 2x. But we don't write negative 1x or 1x. We just write x or b or a. All right. So we have negative x to be equal to 10 minus 7 will give us 3. All right. Now, what we shall do is just shift this negative to the other side because you want a positive x. So that's the x is equal to negative 3. Now, reason why we are doing this is this. Because 1 times any number is the same number. So if we have negative x over here, it means the coefficient that is here is 1. So we shall just say x over negative 1 is equal to 3 also over negative 1. All right. So the negative cancels negative. X over 1, any number divided by 1 is that number. So here, 3 over 1 is 3. Then the negative, we put it there. You see? So it's the same thing. So x is equal to negative 3. All right. Now, to find out if the answer is correct, you can substitute x is equal to negative 3 into this equation so that the left-hand side must be equal to the right-hand side. If it happens that way, then it means the answer checks is correct. So 3 times 3 is 9. But 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 7 means you are owing 9 and you have paid 7. You will owe 2. Negative means you owe. So 3 times 3 or 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 7 is negative 2. So we shall have negative 2 here. When we substitute negative 3, it's equal to 4 times the same negative 3 plus 10, the same x. So let's put x here again to be negative 3. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. All right, negative 12 plus 10. I'm owing 12 and I have paid 10. What do I have or what do I owe? I owe 2. So you see, negative 2 is equal to negative 2. So the left-hand side of the equation is equal to the right-hand side of the equation when x is equal to negative 3. And that is correct. So for the rest, you will have to do that yourself. So we need to wrap this off and work the other questions very fast so our video will not be too long. So let's wrap this off. And then let's go to the solution of B. So B, we have 3 into brackets 2x plus 5 is equal to 6. Now, whenever we see a number in front of the bracket, what it means is that the number outside the bracket is multiplying all that is inside the bracket. That's what it means. That process is called expansion. We are expanding, to expand. So we take 3 to multiply 2x. 3 times 2 is 6. Then you attach the x, so this will give us 6x. 3 times 5 will give us 15, so we shall have 15. This is equal to 6. Then we group like terms. Of course, there's no other term with x over here, so 6x will stay on its own. This equal sign is here, this 6 will be here. This 15 is positive. When it crosses the equal sign, it must be negative 15. Yeah. This process is called grouping of like terms. So we shall have 6x to be equal to 6 minus 15 will give us negative 9. We are subtracting a bigger number from s. It's 6 minus 15. 15 minus 6 is 9, but 6 minus 15 is negative 9. So we shall have here negative 9. Sorry. So now what do? We are going to divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient, the number multiplying x, so that we shall get the x alone. We just want to find only x. So divide here by 6, divide here by 6. 6 cancels 6, and rx is equal to, here we can write this in the lowest, we can reduce it. 3 will go into 9, is 3 times. 3 will go into 6, is 2 times. So we shall have this, then put a negative sign over there. So that means we have x is equal to negative 3 over 2. All right. So that is the answer to this one. Now, let's quickly go to the third one, which is a C, which involves a fraction. The other two involve fractions. So quickly, let's look at C. So for C, we have x out of 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. Now, most of these questions, now what you're going to do is some of them, there are some questions, if you really understand equation very well, there are certain questions that you can just look at them and tell the answers. If they were to be an objective question, you just shade your answer. If it's a multiple choice question, you just shade your answer and go, because without solving, you can even know the answers. For instance, a certain number divided by 3 plus 5 will give me 8. What is that number? So let's say 9. 9 divided by 3 will give us 3. 3 plus 5 will give us 8. So it means x is 9. But then let's assume we do not know. Let's follow the principles to solve it and see what we shall have. So this is going to be, now here we can decide to subtract 5 from the other side and leave the terms with x over here. So we can just say x out of 3 is equal to 8 minus 5. So we shall have x out of 3 is equal to 8 minus 5 will give us 3. Then what is happening here? This is division. What is dividing? Must cross the equal sign to multiply. So x is equal to 3 times 3. And so our x is equal to what? Our x is equal to 9. I told you from the beginning. But if you look at this equation, you will be able to guess the answer and know that the answer. But in mathematics, we do not guess answers unless it is a multiple choice question and you are good at doing that. Then fine. Otherwise, you need to solve and arrive at the answer. So let's go to the last one quickly. So the last one says that is D. Now D says that we have 2 minus 1 all over 3 to be equal to 3 minus 1 all over 4. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we are going, because this equation involves fractions, we are going to find the LCM of the denominators. What are the denominators? The denominators are 3 and 4. So the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. Then we multiply 2 by 12. That's one way. The other way is that if you have A over B is equal to C over D, whenever one fraction is equal to the other fraction, then it follows that A times D will be equal to B times C. That is to say AD is equal to BC, because AD means A times D. So it follows that if I am saying, for instance, let me have a 9 out of 6. 9 out of 6, another name for 9 out of 6 is what? Writing it in the lowest form. Okay. 3 will go into 9 how many times? 3 times. Over. 3 will go into 6 how many times? 2 times. So 2. So I'm saying that 3 over 2 is the same or is equal to 9 over 6. If it is true, then it means that 9 times 2 will give me 6 times 3. And is it true? 9 times 2 is 18. And 3 times 6 or 6 times 3 is also equal to 18. So you see that the answer so is correct. We can follow that rule. So here we have a situation where we have one fraction is equal to the other. So we can decide to cross multiply. So that's one method. We can decide to cross multiply. All right. So what we shall do here is that 4 will then multiply everything that is here. So to show that 4, instead of making a mistake, maybe it will be complex for us to say 4 times 2, then we write down 4 times 1. Instead of that, just introduce a bracket and put the term. This is what we call a term. Put 2 minus 1 there. So this means 4 is multiplying everything that is in this bracket. Now this is equal to the same thing over here. 3 is multiplying everything that is the numerator here. And the numerator is a term, which is 3 minus 1. And that ends it. The fraction has disappeared. Now you can expand like we did over here. 4 times 2 will give us 8. Minus 4 times 1 is 4. Oh, we made a mistake somewhere. What is the mistake that we made? We made a mistake because we did not involve a variable in the question. That is my mistake. So forgive me on that. So let's make this one 2x minus 1 instead. And then let's make this 3x minus 1. All right. So here is 2x minus 1. And then here is 3x minus 1. Nothing changes. The only thing is we did not introduce a variable here. So what are we finding? So that's why we have just fixed the x there. All right, so the same thing. So 4 will multiply this. So 4 will multiply 2x minus 1. Then this will be equal to here 3 is multiplying 3x minus 1. All right. So this is going to be 4 times 2x will give us 8x. 4 times negative 1 will give us negative 4. This is equal to 3 times 3x will give us 9x. And then 3 times negative 1 will give us negative 3. So we have negative 3. So can you see that this and this are like terms and this and this are like terms? 8x and 9x are like terms, whilst negative 4 and negative 3 are like terms. So negative 4 will go to where negative 3 is at the other side. And then we shall be left with 8x over here and 9x will cross the equal sign and come here. So do this carefully. Once you do this carefully and obey the rules of the signs, your answer will never be wrong. So we shall have here 8x negative 9x because 9x is there at the other side is positive and it crosses the equal sign. The process that we are grouping like terms to be negative. Then we shall have our equal sign. 9x is no more here. What are we left with here? Is negative 3. Then 4, negative 4 is here. This is negative 4. When it crosses the equal sign, it becomes positive 4. It becomes plus 4. So that is plus 4. So here, 8x minus 9x will give us negative x. Remember, 9 minus 8 is x. 9x minus 8x is x. But 8 minus 9x will give us a negative x. So negative x will be equal to here. Negative 3 plus 4 is the same as I'm having 4 in my pocket and I'm owing 3. So if I pay the 3 that I owe, what will happen? I will have 1. This is the same as 4, which is positive, minus 3. The same as looking at the 4 first before the negative 3. So this is the same as 4 minus 3, which is 1 over here. So here we shall shift this negative there. So it means that we are going to divide both sides of the equation by negative 1. So we shall divide here also by, we can continue over there. So let's do that over there. So we have negative, let's draw a line here. Negative x is equal to 1. And so we are going to divide both sides of the equation by negative 1. So we divide here by negative 1. We divide here also by negative 1. All right. So negative cancels negative. X over 1 will give us x, which is equal to 1 over 1 is 1. And then we put a negative, and that gives us x to be equal to negative 1. On that note, thank you very much for watching. Do share this video so that other people can also watch it and learn from it. All right. Do not be greedy. When you get a good content, share with others. All right. Sharing doesn't take anything away from you. Sharing means my friends should get to know what I'm watching. So if you're interested in this, if this makes sense to you, then share it so that your friends will also take notice of it. On that note, thank you very much for watching. I'll be bringing you a solution to past questions on equations from 1996 to 2009 and beyond. On that note, uh, stay in touch. Join me in my next and other videos. Bye bye.